My name is Rachel Ankerson. I am the marketing coordinator for GIS Inc., and I am here with Colby Free, who is our managing partner for our federal government business unit.
Go
And I'm
Fetties.
also here with Dawn Siegel. She is our GIS Inc. partner channel manager. And we're here to talk about the 2016 Esri UC that just wrapped up. We just wanted to talk about a few things that came out of the show, some big announcements, some takeaways, and just wanted to get Colby and Dawn's take on it. So the first question I have is, there were some pretty big announcements coming out of the UC. What are some ones that kind of stuck out with you guys? And whoever wants to go first.
Where to start? I'll jump in. How about that? I'll be
Sounds good.
the aggressive Fed here. So the first one that really comes to mind was free stuff, right? Esri had made a big announcement that relates to their training program. And it was pretty broad sweeping, and it really calls for a little bit of clarification. They had said, hey, free training for all is what came across, I think, to the general audience. But what they really were saying, if you read the fine print, they were offering free self-paced online training, which that's a great offer in its own right. There's a lot of great courses that you can be thinking about. If you just go online, just Google Esri training, it'll take you right to the page, and they'll give you more details on that. All the different training courses that they have available. There's one thing that I'll put on top of that, just as a general recommendation. Really be thinking about what your training strategy is for your organization and how you can plug in that resource to be able to meet your goals in developing enterprise GIS across your organization. If you just give a general announcement about the availability of Esri's free training, you may not get the response or the results that you may be looking for. So maybe take a little bit of time and think about how you can plug that in as a resource across your enterprise.
One thing just to add to that, the free training that will be coming is going to be released in August. So that was one of the fine prints also. So the training resources are unlimited access to, as Colby mentioned, those self-paced web courses, seminars, videos, and things of that nature, but it's all coming in August. So just a few weeks around the corner, but still get your ideas together. And it's still a great resource. I echo that, Colby. It was definitely a theme throughout the conference that people were resonating and very excited to hear more about.
All right.
I'll add another one if you don't mind here, Colby. So insights. So for some time now, we've been hearing about new insights tools, and I'd say of the plenary demos, that was certainly a highlight for me. Kind of expanding exploratory analysis in tools, the drag and drop functionality that we love so much in ArcGIS Online, really expanding the functionality of charting and graphing and pulling in all sorts of data together, not only your spatial data, but it could be data from other databases that are non-spatial or spreadsheets. And one of the great things about this was it's free to Esri users that have the ELA licensing. However, there's a fine print detail on this one too, right, Colby?
Always is. Yeah, so I believe now I'm going to preface this with the blanket. I believe this is correct, but check with your Esri account manager to verify. Okay. With that being said, I believe that's going to be released as they're calling it a limited beta or a closed beta release. So you want to go online to the Insights page. Again, just Google Esri Insights. It'll take you right to the link. Scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there's a form that you can fill out to be part of their pre-release program. And I understand that Esri is looking to release the pre-beta, whatever nomenclature they're using, in the 10.5 release of the ArcGIS Enterprise. And that's going to be coming sometime this winter.
Nonetheless, still very exciting functionality, but
Very
on the
much so.
horizon. On the horizon.
Very
there.
excited. The one thing I might add to that even is I think it's a big turn for Esri in terms of how they're presenting their capability to the end users. I think there's a little hesitation to say this out there, but I'll say it. It's very much like a business intelligence tool, and which can be very powerful for your organization, being able to reach those end users that may not have any GIS proficiency, have the time or the inclination to be able to pick up those skills, but want to leverage GIS to be able to do their job. It has a lot of promise there. We're really looking forward to being a premier partner in picking it up and taking it to all our existing clients and new clients in the immediate future.
Absolutely, implementing it as core functionality, where in the past we've been helping clients achieve this functionality through customization, which won't be necessary anymore. So that's a great benefit to everybody. Just the expansion of the platform, bringing that additional functionality and that visualization and BI tool, as you mentioned. It's really great.
Good point.
All right.
Oh, hey, there's one more. Can I add one?
Sure.
Okay. Rachel rules these with an iron fist, so I don't want to go out of turn. All right, so GeoHub, right? This is an initiative that Esri's been working with City of Los Angeles, and it's a pretty compelling proposition, not only in terms of how the technology can be aimed at the general public. I guess Esri's technology stack can be aimed at the general public, but there's a real strong message in the white space of what they're saying. And that is, and I think Esri's dead on. Esri sees GIS as a means to be able to aggregate a lot of disparate information that an organization may already have in all these business system silos, and be able to present it to the public in a very efficient and meaningful way. That's a powerful proposition. Now, there's a lot that has to happen to be able to present that much content from across the enterprise to that many people within the public, but it's a pretty powerful proposition. And if there's one thing that I'd encourage people to be thinking about as they are tracking that initiative is what that means for their organization, what kind of data they might be able to bring into the enterprise GIS, and how they might be able to add value to it by relating it to all those other siloed data sources and presenting it in a very clear and meaningful way using Esri technology. That's what I think is big upside in taking on an initiative like this at anybody's organization out there, not just the technology, but how it's being applied.
Great point, great
Cool.
point.
Very cool.
One big benefit of that GeoHub, just to add, is that it's near real time or real time, where some of the open data portals are not necessarily real-time data feeds, things like that. So in collaboration within internal departments, but as well as presenting that to your citizens as well in real-time collaboration. So lots
Great
of
point.
exciting stuff.
Awesome. All right. Well, what were some common themes that maybe you noticed at the show that you guys picked up on?
Are you talking like from Esri or from the attendees?
I would think from the attendees.
Okay. Wow, there's a lot, right? There's a lot of our conversations that were going on, good discussions within our booth and the paper sessions. But the one thing that I think from the Fed side of the house, especially within the DoD segment of the federal market, I think the one thing that really kept coming up was, hey, a lot of this technology is amazing, it's great. You know, we want to be able to bring it to our organization and leverage towards their mission. The big question is how do you go about doing that when you have a lot of challenges out there that are associated with security constraints, information assurance controls, making sure the right person has access to the right information or the right capabilities that are out there. And so we had a lot of good discussions about what they might be thinking about strategically and working with different stakeholders that play a role in that respect. but also strategically in what specifically their stakeholders need or their end users need. So you're not trying to do so much with all this digital capability, but you're doing just the right amount. So all the different efforts that you have to put into bringing it to production are reasonable, and you're not overwhelmed with trying to take on so much all at one time.
Cool. All right. Well, what about you, Dawn?
All right. Well, as Colby mentioned, trends or things that we are hearing around our booth is really plural. So maybe this is an artifact of what we were demonstrating in our booth, but booths, I should say, we had two, one for our corporate messaging and information, but we also had an IoT booth. And definitely a lot of information about the spatial IoT, so geospatial Internet of Things, and looking at all the different sensors and information that is being shared and how we can take that information and create smarter communities. Sensors beyond the AVL, the automatic vehicle locating systems, sensors coming from LED lighting and communicating with your citizens or CCTV cameras and other smartphone devices, all of that data helping transform the way you're interacting with your citizens, as well as with your field and mobile workforces, was really something we were hearing a lot about. Also, one really interesting thing that I saw, and again, this was near our booth, and just on the stage for the plenary, was the drone to map for ArcGIS. So our company also got to participate in that beta program as well, but really interesting for energy clients, emergency management, utilities, the concept of taking days and days to process imagery and get that into your GIS program are of the wayside. So really looking for ways to leverage that drone technology and help accelerate data acquisition and get more real time in response. Definitely some hype around that, I'd say.
All right.
Yeah, we hit those too, and there's a sleeper behind all these, right? And it's the drone technology maturing, the FAA starting to relax some of the restrictions associated with being able to apply drone within our airspace here in the U.S., but also the IoT. The sleeper is man, there's going to be a lot of data generated here. Whether it's coming in from traditional sources like we see GPS or heads-up digitization, it's old school, or coming in through drone technology, mobile technology, Internet of Things. I mean, Internet of Things, how many data endpoints are there going to be out there in the next 5 to 10 years? My head explodes thinking about it. And so the big question is, and what was a really intriguing conversation with some folks out at the UC is, how are you going to manage all this stuff, right? I think there's a lot of folks who are responsible for this content that need to be thinking about how they can prepare to support the demands that are going to be placed on their enterprise GIS to be able to hold all this content, to be able to put some tools against it, to get the most value out of the content, be able to publish it in a very efficient way so it doesn't overwhelm any of the system resources or infrastructure that they're right on. They can be a good tenant within the data center that they're using. So I think I think next year at the UC, I would love to hear what folks are thinking about or some of the events that we're going to be participating, or send us a line. Would love to hear from the greater audience out there. What is it that you're thinking about in terms of these IoT data streaming into your enterprise, or all these drone data that are going to be coming your way? How are you going to manage those, and how are you going to make sure that you get the best value out of them through providing the services that you need or the solutions on top of those services to end users? So that's the sleeper, and I'd love to hear from everybody else out there about that. You too, Don. You be thinking about that.
Absolutely. One thing to point about the drone to map, too, if the audience isn't aware, drone to map is part of ArcGIS Online. So if you're an ArcGIS Online user, you can start using it right away. So
and that's
I kind of challenge some of those ArcGIS Online users out there, see what you can drum up with that technology.
And that's available. Isn't that available on AGL
Right
right
now. Right
Okay,
now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go play.
Yep.
Exactly. Go play.
All
Show us
right.
what you make or what you got.
Well, I think that's it. Thank you, Colby and Dawn. And for all of our viewers, if you have any questions about the topics that we covered today or any topics we didn't, you can reach both Colby and Dawn at sales@gisinc.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.